Oh boy, more mid-rolls!
Bro, I just realized that my mic has been off this whole recording. That's fucking crazy. I'm not restarting the tournament again, especially for something as vain as that. Anyway, you all saw it. Snake Man won, canonically, so I don't have to undo anything. Not that I would anyway, because that was the first round, and no rounds happened before it. No one can prove anything once I upload the video, and this stream fades into the ether, I guess. So now we have, for the first time ever, Purple Swordman versus... God, can I remember off the top of my head? I'm pretty sure it was purple. Everyone likes purple. No, it was Green Shadow Man. That's probably why he lost last time. That's not nice to say. Anyway. Running it back, despite the timeline shift, Shadow Man is confident in his pick of this stage, and he should be. It is a great stage if you actually move out of the way of the fucking sword. Shadow Man is a big fan of standing inside of Swordman to attack him, but Swordman is also a really big fan of that. A whole half-stock lead to come back from here. Shadow Man was able to bring him down to 3, but Sword is just able to deal such consistent damage. Plus, I'm pretty sure he has extra health. I can't remember. I can pause. Hold on, this is a single-player match. I can pause this. Swordman does have more health, so there's a lot. Swordman will deal more and take less, and yet somehow, never mind. They were on different stocks there. Shadow is way behind, falling a lot behind, just due to the amount of damage that Swordman is able to take and deal, and the fact that Shadow Man refuses to move out of the way of the thing stabbing him in the face. Shadow Man just not taking great advantage of his incredible mobility and Swordman's dogshit mobility, and Swordman was just able to capitalize that on that over and over and just stand still to stab him in the face. What do you think about that? Alright, I'm sorry. Jesus. Round 2. We'll see if Shadow can maybe counterpick Swordman. He decided against the flat stage this time, but did decide to stick with his strategy of running directly into attacks. He did do some fancy movement there for a sec, and it did seem to be working. This is way more even than last time, but only a couple more hits, and Shadow Man, no! How could you do that? Alright, able to get that shot without losing any more. A bit of a waste of EP, but he came back from it. Simply just standing in the way of this sword. Keeping it more even. Swordman just flexing on Shadow, though, because he knows that he's not going to move. I thought he was going to taunt. That's the animation for his tornado. I thought Swordman was taunting in the middle of a combo. Sword just deflecting so much damage, taking so much damage, and there's not much that Shadow can do when he's also choosing to just get hit by every possible attack. It seems that the Shadow Man AI is not quite certain how to effectively use its mobility, and isn't certain where attacks are, and Swordman is just able to capitalize on that so much harder than any other character possibly could. And that means that Sigia is the canonical winner of that first round, or of that, yeah, the last round was a prequel, this is the first round. Let me just moderate, not moderate, report. Double Swordman win. Sending Shadow to the Shadow Realm, and by that I mean loser's bracket, which we will see after Sheep versus Jax. Not that, wrong thing. So, for that we got Ekans once more, that's not a CPU, versus Blue-Pink Sheep. Wrong. Let's see, can Sheep, the master of clouds, Cloudman doesn't exist yet, so Sheep is the master of clouds, avoid the ground long enough to stop Snake from just running away with damage? So far, yes, apparently. Wow, the sentence changed like 5 times in a row there. Yes, this is CPUs. I don't know how long ago that was asked, but so far we got Snake Man, an undeserved taunt, frankly, when it's this close. But perhaps attempting to get in his opponent's head, keeping a little bit of an HP lead, but Sheep is really trying to bring that back, and he's doing a damn good job of it too. Right, ReactBot?
Not with that attitude.
I think that's the opposite of what you should say, actually. Sheep turning it around, in fact, coming back. Snake Man needing to take multiple hits just to bring Sheep down to the same stock count as him. This could really go either way at this point. We've seen both of these players ahead. They could both... I don't talk fast enough. Sheep Man pulling ahead halfway through and keeping that solid lead all the way to the end. Meaning that we go to round 2, which we would have done anyway, so it doesn't mean that. Snake Man taking Sheep to a, like, basically the inverse, actually, of the last stage. That divot there could be dangerous for both players. Snake Man could get stuck down there when Sheep is doing an electric thing, as he's tend to do. Or Sheep could get stuck down there with a bunch of snakes. Snake Man just not... Oh, there we go, there we go. How did he take damage? How did he already take damage? Sheep was dead instantly. This guy's not that great. Anyway, we got Sheep keeping a lead. Keeping a pretty solid lead. Despite being slowed down, still has a very good, not insignificant HP lead. Now very not insignificant. Snake Man opting to stand in the middle of all of the lightning, maybe hoping for 2 hits, just for fun, as a treat. Sheep Man getting slowed down, but doesn't matter much when you just go airborne. Snake Man trying his hardest to bring Sheep down to 1 stock, but just not able to get away from all of this lightning. And that means Sheep takes Snake out, knocking him down to loser's bracket. That was an electric second round, if I do say so myself.
Totally.
Thank you, my goat. So, let me report that. I was really hoping for a game 3 there. I thought it was going to happen. It could have. Snake Man really, like, pulled ahead early in that first match, but, like, once Sheep found his footing, he was just able to consistently hold that lead and just not let Snake Man breathe at all. So, looking at, alright guys, watch out. You only have seconds, minutes, hours. You only have 6 days to check in, so be careful there. Anyway, next we got Ames versus Jason. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correct. I hope I am. We got, that means Green Shadow versus Purple Crystal Man. Everyone loving purple today. Let us see who gets to stay in this tournament and who will be actually knocked into the Shadow Realm. Shadow Man actually deciding to use his mobility this time, which matters way less when you got balls all over the screen. Keeping the slightest of leads, keeping the zeroest of leads here. Both players just absolutely playing out of their minds, knowing that their tournament run is on the line here. Crystal filling the screen with balls, his favorite activity. Spamming parry there for a moment. Able to keep it pretty even. Could be either player's game here. If Crystal can get some solid shots, some solid dodges here, he can bring Shadow right down. Although Shadow now has quite the lead. I see Shadow going down to 1 stock here, but taking Crystal with him. Crystal really needs some solid parries here, some solid dodges, and Shadow can just run around him or stand on top of him and just throw shurikens, giving Shadow the first game, but possibly Crystal can make it back in round 2. A much weirder layout, not really anywhere to protect Shadow from Crystal's balls. Every time I say balls, I'm just imagining the Curtis Connor sample that he uses, where it's just Barbie saying balls. I don't think anyone even knows that reference that I'm making. Much faster in this game, Shadow is able to pull away here Crystal trying to keep it even. Keeping it much more even than I anticipated, in fact. Even taking Shadow down without taking any more damage. Really, really fighting for his life here, knowing that this could possibly be his last game of the tournament completely. Ooh. Only a little bit of health left on Shadow's second stock. Crystal able to take it down, but taking quite a lot of damage in the process. Unable to find an opening here, and Crystal, despite having the parry, his tournament run ends there. Absolutely devastating, folks. What do you got to say about that?
Only gamers will get that.
I think so. Only a true gamer would understand the astronomical win that Shadow just pulled off there, knocking Crystal Man out of the tournament, unfortunately, but we hope to see him next time at the next gambling tournament. And that's why this is gambling. This is essentially just cockfighting. But I'm not going to say that again because people are going to make fun of me, and that's mean. Oh, what game is this? This is Mega Man Arena. Thank you so much for coming by, Kish Squared. It's a pretty niche game. But it's got Snake Man in it, and like, what more could you ask? Charge Man, that's what more you could ask, and he's also in it, so it's great. I would recommend it. I don't notice these chats until like 10 minutes later. Oops. Anyway, we're gonna move right on to the next losers bracket, so that both brackets are on finals. So next we got me versus Ames. In other words, Green Shadow versus Ekans. I can't do a Smash announcer voice, I'll be embarrassed. Players picking to go to Mars 1. Bit of a bump here, possibly Snake Man hoping to defend himself from Shadow here, but at the same time, not a great pick from Shadow, because, like I keep saying, you gotta come down eventually, and when you do, there's gonna be a snake there. Snake Man somehow taking a hit in that small period of time before Shadow dies, which just allows Shadow to compound on this victory and keep his not that big HP lead, actually. But an HP lead of that size is going to give Shadow Man the opportunity to hit Snake a couple times before going down. And he did, but still, despite all of this, the HP values are staying very close. It truly could be anyone's game, folks. Unfortunately, Snake Man just taking too many hits in all of these stock cleanups, which just lets Shadow really run away with this lead, ending with almost half a stock ahead of Snake Man. And that's how that game goes, right?
I forgot what happened. Can you play it again?
I can't. I'm sorry. It's all random. That's the point, man. I can't do that. Let's see. That's it. That's the intro. Let's see. Yeah. It's poorly coded. I couldn't make a joke off it. I couldn't think of a funnier joke. Looks poorly coded, already rocked. Snake Man! Oh. I thought maybe Snake Man was gonna lead here. I hate to tell you, folks, I am biased. That's my little guy up there. That's my son. I came to his baseball game. Snake Man consistently taking the stock before Shadow Man can, but not holding on to the leads that well, keeping Shadow Man very much in the running. In fact, giving Shadow the advantage at that point, because then, no, that's not giving Shadow the advantage, because then Snake Man gets the invincibility. And yet, Shadow is really sticking in this. Once again, both players know that their tournament run is on the line here. Can Snake Man bring this to a round 3? Yes! We've got our first round 3 of the tournament, folks. This is so exciting.
Pathetic. You can do better.
Okay, come on, man. Nothing pleases you. Anyway, we've got our first round 3. What would this be? This is Shadow Man's pick. What will he decide? What would Snake Man ban? I believe that Snake Man would ban probably like Wily Castle 3, you know, stages with platforms, Cossack Fortress. Snake Man really wants to bring everyone down to the ground, fighting on his level, fighting on a level filled with snakes. Shadow Man might want to pick Bright Man, or things with platforms, things that allow him to like speed around, get away from these snakes, although the walls will also be covered. That's important to take into account here. So what's all of this to say, what stage will these players pick? Cossack. Snake Man, there's just too many stages with platforms. There's just not enough bans. And Snake was forced to be brought to a stage like this that will transform periodically. Oh, Snake taking out that stock without using any EP, without wasting any health. He was saving all that for now when he wastes all of his health and all of his EP. Although Shadow, even more wasteful of his EP. Unfortunately, it does seem to be working. Snake Man hoping to... Snake Man hoping for anything at this point. Half a stock lead again. That number just keeps popping up. Because, once you get that lead, it is just so easy to compound on it with your invincibility, with a stock cleanup, and like... Yeah... Snake Man down by so much at this point. There's not much he can do. Almost a full stock lead by the end. Snake Man stood no chance, and Shadow Man will be losing on to Movers Finals.
Leave a comment telling me what your favorite part is.
My favorite part was the time that Snake Man brought it to Game 3, but then he lost anyway, so who fucking cares? That wasn't even a good fake cry. Sorry. Alright. Moving back to winner's side, we got Sheep versus Sigia. Who could have seen it coming? Not me, folks. This is incredibly surprising to me. So, what that means mechanically is we got the wrong button. We got a robot sheep versus a robot sword holding guy. I could have just pressed back the whole time. Swordman really loves keeping people close. Fortunately, a lot of people love to be close. So, what stage are we thinking? For Sheep versus Sword? Wily Swordman just sticking with what he knows works. Maybe if this stage confused Shadow Man, it'll confuse Sheep. So far seems to be working, but Sheep able to take advantage of a lot more invincibility than Shadow could. Still, no one has that much, as much HP as Swordman in this tournament. So he's really leveraging that to take these stock leads and just keep running with them, despite his slow as hell run. A whole half stock lead just to bring Swordman down. You hate to see it. Sheep must be really kicking himself in the head for that one. I don't know how you kick yourself in the head. Sheep bringing Swordman down to the same HP, but Sword having a whole stock lead. Both players absolutely demolishing their EP here. Who will take it first? Just standing on top of each other. Sheep able to take Swordman down, but quite literally one hit away from death. Apparently, standing inside Swordman is working for Sheep this time. Shadow was not so lucky. Can Sheep come back from a whole stock loss? Sheepman, the person known to be a expert in CPUs, I believe. Unless they hasn't been tested for 4.1, I don't know. Possibly extending that to Sheep, the CPU, the CEO, trying to leverage some CPU knowledge here, standing inside Swordman, abusing his hitboxes, bringing Sword down to 1 stock by just standing next to him, but unfortunately, he wasn't able to trick Swordman for long enough to bring him back down. And Swordman takes it with a full stock lead. Let's see if Sheep can use the knowledge he has learned in that match to maybe bring it back to a game 3. Once again, some platforms, possibly hoping to confuse Swordman, although Sword seems to adore these platforms. You wouldn't think so, but here he is. Maybe just I wouldn't think so. They seem to be confusing Sheepman just as much, or more. Sheep trying to find that sweet spot he can stand in and just hammer away at Sword, but Sword is doing the hammering here, despite having a knife. That was not a good pun. I'm sorry. Swordman just wasting his EP to try and keep Sheep out of his blind spot. Sheep desperately searching for that blind spot, confusing Swordman a bit there with the clouds, but just Swordman consistently holding this lead just by dealing such solid damage every time he gets the chance. Able to find that blind spot for a moment there. Will it be enough to come back from this loss, though? It's absolute HP deficit, especially when Swordman still has enough EP for both a tornado and spin, not letting Sheepman just stand next to him and hold his hand. Lots of clouds for Swordman to account for, but he's just going to keep swinging. And as soon as he has that the EP for a tornado, he will let it loose. Sheep playing a dangerous game there, but Swordman knows he has enough for that tornado, moving on to grand finals and knocking Sheep down to losers, hoping that he can come back from this devastating loss. Unfortunate. I keep hitting the wrong button. So sorry to Sheepman here. But that is how gambling works in real life. I'm pretty sure if you went to a casino, you'd just see a bunch of CPU matches of Mega Man Arena playing. Anyway.
It's giving Sigma.
Go fuck yourself, man. So now we have whatever's next, I don't remember. We got Sheepman versus Green Shadow Man. Both of these players, someone is going home after this. Both storied players. Shadow Man in the first round 3 of the tournament, possibly only round 3, unless Sheep can really, unless things go both right and wrong here, I suppose. Ooh, Sheep taking a lot of damage in this first stock, but still taking the first stock. Sheep having the range advantage there, but Shadow somehow dodging through all of those projectiles to take Sheep's stock out without taking any damage himself. That's impressive, folks. These are professional players. Keep that in mind.
Chat, I think this broke all of the commandments.
Okay. Anyway, in that time, Sheep down to his second stock, keeping a solid lead against a Shadow, though. Really making sure that Shadow is not able to get away from all these projectiles, taking advantage of Shadow's just lack of range here, and lack of willingness to do any dodging whatsoever. Ooh, but Sheep also unwilling to avoid projectiles, it seems. Both players down to their last stock, but Sheep is just able to clean up so consistently, even taunting at the end, just for fun. And what can you do about that? Asking for a friend. Well, let's wake up my co-commentator with another electric match. I already used that pun, but I don't. There's no Sheep puns I can make. I just have to stick with electric. Sheep really trying to stay outside of Shadow's effective range here. Able to do it somewhat consistently, but more through the use of clouds than actual range. Just standing in the corner, letting Shadow Man pick him off there. HP a lot more even this game. Shadow Man trying to get a final hit on Sheep, able to pull it off, but taking so much damage in the process. Sheep cleaning that up, but taking a little bit of HP, and also in the process, dude, I need to work on like talking in general. Sheepman possibly looking for a comeback here, keeping it extremely even down to the last stock. Both players completely even. Shadow pulling ahead right here. Both players trading health so evenly. Who will come out at first? Shadow Man with 1 HP! Really just keeping Sheep on the back foot here. Oh my god.
God is dead and we killed him.
You had to say that right after I say, oh my god. Bringing us to round 3. Once again, both players fighting for their lives here. What stage could they possibly want to go to? Who will like really strategize beyond comprehension and pick out the perfect stage to keep them from being kicked out of this tournament, looking for that $10 million prize money that is on the line here. Keep that in mind, players, viewers. You're both playing and viewing, technically. Shadow Man once again looking for platforms, maybe trying to replicate his first match. Although, if I recall correctly, he lost that first match, and it doesn't seem to be treating him well here either. Able to take Sheep down to 3 stocks with him, but taking so much damage in the process, it's barely even worth it. Evening the stocks out a little bit, but Sheep needs a couple hits before he goes down, but Shadow is able to clean up without taking that much damage, keeping the HP very even here. Sometimes you can just watch these games by looking at like both sides of the screen and seeing whose HP is lower. Like that. Really keeping it close. Keeping it extremely close. I don't think he took a single shot there. This truly could still be anyone's game. Whatever player goes home after this is not going to be happy. We got it down to the last stock. Will we get another 1 HP win? We will! By the skin of his teeth, Shadow Man pulling ahead, coming back from that early stock loss, killing Sheep, knocking him out of the tournament, making it back to try and take out Swordman. All of his stocks are on the line, all like literal money stocks. I talk faster than I think, I'm sorry. We got Shadow Man moving on to the grand finals of our tournament, ladies and gentlemen. This, I would say that Shadow Man shouldn't be too confident here, despite coming back from that incredible deficit. He did lose to Swordman 2 out of 2 times. Can he come back from this hefty loss? We'll find out. Let's go to our co-commentator to see what his thoughts on the AI battle are from the perspective of an AI. ReactBot?
I give it a 2 out of 5.
That's not looking so good for Shadow Man. So, a final introduction. We've got Purple Swordman representing Sigia of the Alpha Team tribe. And we've got Green Shadow Man representing Ames of the of the online players / tourney-goers tribe. Who will come out on top? ReactBot's not so confident in Shadow Man. I would like to imagine a Shadow Man coming out on top. So we've got a very split perspective on this commentary crowd here. Shadow Man picking, if I'm not mistaken, once again, Wily 3. Yes, this is the stage that Shadow Man came to in his initial fights against Swordman, hoping to perhaps leverage his incredible agility, maybe trap Swordman on these platforms, but it looks like Swordman's the one with the agility here, just chasing Shadow around. Standing in front of where someone spawns is a bad idea, especially when they have low range. That might be something that comes up for both players in this match. Shadow dancing around Sword, Sword unable to get a hit, but Shadow unwilling to throw one. Shadow's trying to keep it even here. Once again, I was right. Don't stand in someone as they spawn, especially with low range. Shadow just dropping on top of Swordsman, really hoping, the pull finish, really hoping to keep these stocks even, but Swordman is just eking out a little bit more HP every time. Swordman finally learning, don't stand in front of Shadow Man as he spawns. He does not have good range, but I'm just so enthralled. Swordman could lose this one. We've got very even HP values here. Oh, Shadow Man just trying to find that sweet spot that he saw his old rival Sheep find, but just not quite able to find it in the same way. Still getting hit by Swordman, no matter how still he stood right next to his swords. Whew. And that'll bring us to round 2 of our grand finals. I would love to see a bracket reset for the content more than anything. Will we? It's CPUs. It's kind of set in stone, so we'll see. But Shadow Man keeping it incredibly even. What do you think about that match, ReactBot?
That's all you got?
Yeah? Fuck you. Alright. Ooh, we got a new stage here. We got Magnet Boss with some extra magnets in for flavor. Shadow Man just diving in, desperately trying to find that sweet spot. He knows it's in there, but it's just dealing so much damage to him. Swordman unlearning his lesson, standing right in front of Shadow Man as he spawns, but still able to hit a couple pot shots before going down. Shadow Man found a new sweet spot. Swordman just trying to hit him on this ledge, but not quite able to reach. Oh, don't stand inside of Swordman when he has Tornado EP. That's the lesson you learn here, folks. Swordman down to 1 HP, but just not taking the damage. There we go. Shadow Man got a whole half stock to come back from. This might be curtains, though. Oh, isn't this... This is best of 5. I was wrong. This might be mostly curtains. Shadow Man got a whole stock to come back from here. Swordman really keeping on him with that spinner, but it looks like it's over for Shadow here. Especially when you stand still when Swordman just respawned. Never do that. They'll write that down in the books for sure. Thoughts?
Take it, sleep.
What did he say? I don't even know what he said. Alright, this could be our final round of the tournament. Swordman with his absolutely dominant appearance today, 2-0ing just everyone. Versus Shadow Man, the come from behind king, cloaked in. There's not a flavor of green that starts with a C or a K. Who win?
Kinda Waluigi coded.
Waluigi loves come from behind victories. Swordman, so dominant here though. So we'll see. Taking it to a flat stage, possibly not the best idea for Shadow Man with his possibly final game here. Immediately taking a ton of damage while just not dealing it back to Sword. I don't know why I just had the intrusive thought. Imagine if Swordman could heal. Sorry, that's completely unrelated. Swordman just keeping an incredibly solid, because remember, he has more health than the average player, meaning that this lead is even larger than it first appears. A whole stock ahead. Swordman decides he is done with this tournament. He's tired. He wants to go home and sleep. Put his sword on a fancy little display pillow in a case. Isn't he actually the museum case? I don't know. He probably puts it to bed at night. I imagine Swordman just like detaches it and like tucks it into bed. He wants to do that right now. He has a whole stock ahead of Shadow Man. Shadow really fighting for his life to try and keep it even, but taking 2 hits of Tornado back to back will just seal the deal for Swordman here. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our final match of the tournament. Your tournament champion, Sigia, represented by Purple Space Swordman. What do we have to say about that, co-commentator?
If you're enjoying this video, please subscribe and hit that bell.
That's right, but I would like a commentary on the match.
So that's how they do that.
That is how they do that, and that's how he did it. So, thank you all for coming out. Thank you for viewing. If we even still have any viewers, we do. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for quote-unquote playing. And thank you to all of our participants here, from the lowly Snake Man to our tournament champion, Swordman. The results will be posted shortly. We hope to see you at the next Wacky Wednesday. And don't forget to vote for the Wacky Wednesday. Also, don't forget to vote politically, but don't forget to vote for the next Wacky Wednesday, which will be posted by tonight. See y'all later.